Welcome, ladies and gents, to another edition of Tech and 10 with Sin. Today I'm doing an overview of the BIOS of this motherboard. This is the OC Force, and I wanted to do a guide to basically teach people how to use the BIOS. So when you first flash the BIOS and you enter it for the first time, you'll be at a Performance tab under the Home page. Okay? Now the Performance tab has a bunch of different listed features, and I've actually customized mine, and you can customize it. So the first thing you want to do is basically figure out the BIOS, and that's not the Home tab. I honestly think they should put you on the Performance tab first, and you can actually pick here in System Information what the first tab that you open on is. So you can pick if it's Performance or a Home tab. Now the Home tabs are all customizable. However, Performance, System Info, BIOS features, Peripherals, Power Management, and Save and Exit, they aren't. So I can quickly move backwards and forwards between the menus. So the basic structure is one of these menus. To go between the menus, you can either click, right, with the mouse, or you can select something and press enter with the keyboard, right? So I'm going to go Power Management now and then press enter. Or you can hold down Shift and go left and right. And then that's the quickest way. And actually, you can actually go from Home to Save and Exit and then back to Home and go all around. If you just hold it down, it'll keep going like this and this. It's a little, makes you a little dizzy. But it's quick in that regards. Now, the second set is that under these menus, there are going to be a bunch of different menu options. PC health status, miscellaneous, CPU. Peripherals will have 3 tabs. Device configuration, SATA configuration, Super I/O. Home will have, I think this is 6 tabs, and you can customize the names on all these tabs, and you can customize what each of these tabs will have. They come with a little bit by default. So you can select any of the settings from any of these other tabs and put them on any of your home tabs. You can even have the same setting on more than one tab. So that's pretty cool. So to move around these sub-menus quicker, you can just hold on Ctrl and do the same thing. You can go left and right, or you can use the keyboard and press enter, or you can use the mouse and click them, right? Performance, Standard, Sin's OC LN2 set. So Shift for the major, right, and then Control for the minor. These are for the menus and with the keyboard shortcuts. Now, there's a couple other things I need to show you on the home page. The home page is the one place where you can change the boot sequence down here, okay? Now, by default, after you flash, your first boot device will be a USB flash disk with a UEFI tag on it, or it might not be there. But your boot disk, which mine is a Kingston solid-state drive, is right here, number 3. And it's number 3, so to try to boot the USB drive and tell me OS not found. So what do I need to do? I need to use my mouse, or I'll show you the keyboard shortcut. Use the mouse, click it, and drag it over to position 1. Now when I highlight position 1, it says Kingston. Highlight position 2, UEFI moved around. I can even move UEFI around there, and then 2 to 3, and you can even drag it around here, but you're not really going to do anything with it. So now we're back to the way it was before. I can move it with a mouse, I can move it back again. Or I can use a keyboard. Now the keyboard shortcut for this is Alt. Hold down Alt and then use the arrow keys, and you can move around. So you select number 3 and then hold down Alt and then arrow. Number 3 now becomes number 2. Number 2 now becomes number 1. Kingston is now number 1. Okay? And you can get there to that tab by going all the way over and going down and going left and right. Pretty easy, pretty simple, not too tough. Now you can move left and right with the keyboard, and you can move up and down, so it's pretty cool. Okay, so we can look at some of the ways we can change settings. So CPU base clock, right, has a manual and an auto. So let's say I have a base clock. I can type in number 1. Typing is the easiest for this. I say 115 for my base clock, okay? Let's say I want to go back to auto, right? So if I go here and I try to go all the way up, that's going to take a long time. I can even use the mouse and scroll and select, right? So I can do that, but then even scrolling takes a long time. You can also use page up and hold down page up, but that'll also take a long time. Or I can type in something like 100. However, there's a much easier way, okay? Just type in an A. An A equals auto. Auto is set. Let's say I want to do manual. Well, M for manual. And then if it's something that is normal, then you can type in an N right here, and it'll go to normal for the CPU VRN override, because there's no manual to that. It's just auto, normal, or you can type in a voltage like 2.5 volts. You can also use the slider, right? So slider works. You can even drag it, right? Not bad, okay? And then let's say you want to change the VRN on the fly. Well, let me change this to 1.8 volts because that's the default. Now if I want to change something on the fly, I can click this little button here, on, and then hit apply. But let's say you want to only use a keyboard. How do you do this, right? So the quick key here is insert. You saw that? I press insert, and it goes from enable to disable, on, off, okay? So I can just say insert, and then go all the way down to apply, and then now I have applied 1.8 volts. I can move around, go out to my setting, insert, turn it off, and now the apply goes away. I can go here and say insert, 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 and then all these will change on the fly for me, or I can disable them. Okay? So that's pretty simple too. So you can type, you can use keyboard page up, page down, you can do plus and minus, you can type in letters, you can use the mouse, you can use sliders, you can use these arrow keys, and you can change them on the fly. So this BIOS is totally decked out in those features. Now let's look at setup options, right? So this is my setup options. You can always drag the menus, okay? Depending on your GPU, some things might lag, some things might not in moving them around, like especially big items like this. Your GPU is very, very important for the way things work in the BIOS, and mouse control. The graphics processor, this BIOS uses a lot of graphics processing power to make it look so pretty and have all these features. So it's a little different than what you might think. Okay, so you can use the mouse here, and you can go to these different sub-menus. See, these are the main menus. And let's say I want to add core voltage menu. Well, I can. Well, first of all, let's remove all these, right? Well, let's say I want to move CPU vCore to number 1. Select it and press arrow up. Okay, now CPU vCore is number 1. Let's say I just want to remove everything. Select it and just press minus. Everything is now obliterated. Nice, right? And then I can rename this and say, what do I want to call this? Number 1 tab. Okay, and now if I press OK, right? Now there's nothing on my number 1 tab, alright? So now I can go to setup. I can even probably make this number, correct spelling. And I can also use the keyboard over here and move around and select different options and add them over, okay? So you can do it with the keyboard or mouse, no problem. Now let's say I want to add a base clock, just like before, right? I should add a CPU clock ratio, that's the CPU. Now advanced core settings. So advanced core settings here, I don't have another menu option. However, it's also here. So all the menus that don't have extra, that need a different second layer to insert are over here. Advanced core options, channel timings. So uncore ratio over here, add it, done. Maybe I want to add a C3 state, and I want to add iced, or speed step, same thing. Now let's go to my channel settings. Let's say I want to mess around with different cast latencies. I don't want to dig into the menus for those. And all the settings are here, all the third settings. So let me add TRDRD because that's very important. Okay, and maybe I should add some fan settings. So PC health status, do you see here? Yep, right here. And right here are all my fan controls. So I'm going to put in a CPU fan control and then a fan speed percentage. It's the same thing as fan speed slope, and it's called something different in the performance tab, but they had to name it this to be able to add more than one. Okay, so now that's done, I just press OK to save, and all these values are here. The best part is, if you forget what a value is, you get the min and max here, and then that'll still be there on normally. So that'll be here in this menu, and it'll change per each one. So I go to my fan speed control, send it to manual, and then I have my PWM value, and all that's here. And the timings are blanked out for a reason. I have to go to performance. I could have had that option to unblank them out. And I enter the memory settings, and then I hit this as manual. Now they're manual, now they're all unblocked off. You can press X to exit the menu or escape. I also have shortcuts. You see these? I right-click to get these shortcuts. Now, you can customize these shortcuts by pressing edit right here, clicking this, and then clicking whatever shortcuts you want. Like, let's say I want performance voltage added. Performance voltage has now been added in this place. Let's say instead of home standard, I want to have load defaults is already there. How about I get a background wallpaper instead. Now background wallpaper is on my things. I can hit this, go to background wallpaper. Now wallpaper will just come up here instead of going to the system menu. And I have a file on the boot drive that could apply. And then put OK. Oh, maybe that didn't work. Maybe I have to be here to do that. Not everything is perfect with these shortcuts, but it does work. So there you go. Okay. Now there's something you should know, and that is that if you use the wallpaper, you have to leave the USB drive with the wallpaper in. JPEG files or PNGs work best. Okay. I just like lava, but this is actually a pretty cool background, right? You can also use the keyboard for all of this. Pretty cool, huh? Now, system status. System status shows you all the system temperatures. Like my PCH temp is 41C. System temp, I think this is right around the whatchamacallit, the PCIe slots. Or this might be the PLX temperature, I'm not sure. Let me go back to lava, it's much easier for you guys to see. And then performance tab, CPU stats and memory stats. So there's a way to go to full resolution mode. I forget which key it is. There it is, F6. But see, my full HD mode is not supported because this monitor is not a 1920 by 1080 monitor. It's actually like 1600 by 1200 resolution, so it's not going to work. When you go to the full resolution, these two tabs are removed. They're gone. They don't exist anymore, okay? But right now we have them here and we can take a look at them because that's what gives us all this on-the-fly information that would be on the side panels at all times. But instead I like this because this is easier to even see with the video, and because the fonts are bigger in this one. So miscellaneous, PC health status, we already went over. Also, when the mouse header changes to a double arrow instead of just a single arrow means you can change stuff, okay? However, double arrow means you can start scrolling with the scroll wheel and go up and down on the pages, right? So voltage mode, advanced power settings. This is load line scaling. It gives you a stupid little graph here. So I can hit extreme and move to another setting. And now if I go back to extreme, it'll highlight in red the extreme one and show me the droop of voltage over load. So if I go to low and then click this again, I'll get the low one, which is this green one that's highlighted now. Okay? So I just put that back on auto. Okay, all these two are important. Now you only need to change load line calibration for the VIN and phase control maybe. You probably don't even have to change this one. But for DDR overclocking, it is recommended to max out DDR channel protection to extreme, and DDR voltage protection to something like, I don't know, we can set 250. Okay? Now we can go over to core voltages. These are my core voltages. They can be changed on the fly if they have this little tab right here next to them, okay? So that's pretty cool. And same thing with the other one, right? If I want to hit auto, done. Memory timings, okay? Oh, the voltages are divided. Chipset voltages are here. There are two of them. This one is pretty important. My apologies. DRAM voltage. This is the only one you need. Memory. So there are memory profiles here. They're developed for individual kits. Now, let's go here and let me show you something. So right now, these are the timings it's going to set in this column. This column over here are the timings right now, or the auto timings for the divider. Now, let's say I want to load one of these profiles, but I only want its timings. Well, its timings will automatically come right here. This is the PCS type for 266 megahertz profile, and you can see all up and down this column much differs from this column. So you can go manually input these timings. So I could start here and then hit 8 and then hit enter and move down to 11, enter, 8, enter, what is this, 28, enter, and then like 4, enter, 4, enter, right, and then 5, enter, and then 19, enter. However, if I want to go back to normal settings, oh yeah, TWR for some reason needs to be changed otherwise. But if I want to change back to auto, I just type in an A, right? So if you don't want to mess with any settings and you don't know what they are, you might as well just use that. You also have XMP, Profile 1. Profile 1's timings will be right here. This is a Samsung kit. And now this sets what it should be for the divider with the XMP. So in the both columns, it should be the same here. All the way down, right? Yeah, okay, good. And I can just X out or press escape. But if you do this, if you set the memory multiplier, this is important. If you set 28x and you go back here, it's not going to show you that these timings are different, but it's going to load different timings. If you set 28x and profile 1 is already engaged, it's just going to overwrite profile 1's timings with 28x multiplier timings. That's just the design of the system, because this is a manual and this is an automatic. This is also considered an automatic. However, any manual timing for system multiplier or for a timing will override XMP or a profile. So that's important to realize, okay? Under the frequency tab, performance upgrade. These will automatically increase performance of memory and CPU, or CPU and memory, by percentages. And there's also CPU upgrade here. This just increases CPU speed to these presets. I think you should manually overclock and not do that. So right here, what I like to do is, I like to get rid of this turbo setting and disable it. You see all these settings grayed out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? Now, those 6 are the only things this will disable, okay? So turbo mode always works. However, if you want turbo mode to work, sorry, my throat's getting a little dry. If you want turbo mode to work, you can just set auto. You don't have to set enabled. I think auto is enabled, but you can also set disabled. Disabled will do that, but you're still overclocking with turbo multipliers. However, if you want your frequency or voltage to drop, you need to leave this on auto. You don't ever touch any of these because they don't really do much. And let's say you want to have drop in both voltage and frequency. You just leave C3 state enabled for voltage drop, and you leave ICE enabled for frequency drop. Then you can go here, set your multiplier to 45x, and that's good. You don't have to set any of these things, okay? You don't have to set any of this. But if you're doing liquid nitrogen and you don't want the multiplier to drop, you can just hit disabled here. Page up and page down will also change these settings, so it's pretty easy. But I can go to auto on all of them. Page up, page up, page up, and I can just go page up here, okay? So CPU PLL selection, 2 different PLLs. SB PLL is good for high margin. LC PLL is good for low margin. So basically, if you're overclocking between 1 and 110 megahertz, LC PLL might be better. It's tighter regulation too. SB PLL is greater for greater margin, so if you're going like 200 megahertz. Filter level, this is the level of the filter applied to the clock generator, the phase lock loop. Okay, KOC gives extra memory, extra CPU multipliers to non-K series SKUs. Okay. Yeah. Also, this is important about manual and auto for CPU base clock. Okay. So this is easy. Instead of the auto tab, you can actually type in the base clock you want. Like, let's say I want 190 base clock. That's going to give me 166X and 114. That's perfectly possible. However, let's say I want to go to 195, but it did a boo-boo. It said 1.25x and 87x, 78 megahertz. Well, no one has ever gotten the 2.5x multiplier to work, right? It just has never worked. So we're stuck at 195 doing that. Well, get this. Gigabyte gives you the option to manually set. So we can go drop down the menu and select manual, or, like smart people, we can type in an M. Now it's in manual mode. Now I can go select my multiplier, 1.66. Now I can type in 117. And there, 195 is my final, and that's exactly what I want. Okay, I've set 195 and booted multiple times. That's why I know it's 117 megahertz. I don't do math that quickly. So yeah. And then if you want to get rid of these settings, just hit auto here, and then they're all backed out. Okay. Processor, graphics clock. I think we went over all this. Oh, XMP is here for you as well in case you only want to enable XMP. You don't have to go all the way over to the memory. So let's go over to miscellaneous. PCI slot configuration, if you're doing base clock overclocking, best to set Gen 2, okay? But on the OC Force, this is the only board, or Sniper 3 as well. Setting this really does nothing. It just sets, this is the internal PCIe controllers, Gen mode, and the truth is, to be told, that you can't change it past the PLX bridge, which is all 3.0. So your GPUs will still run at 3.0 mode, which the whole point is to make your GPUs run at 2.0, not the link between the CPU and the PEX 8747. So, yeah. CPU stats, went over that. System info. So, you can change your background wallpaper. You can change which tab you automatically start on. I like to start on performance frequency or the home page. You can pick if you want the full HD mode first, which is blacked out here because my monitor doesn't support it. You can also pick whether you want to start in the classic mode or dashboard mode. So what is classic mode? If you press F2, you go to the old BIOS, and you see how much the mouse lags in this BIOS because it's a design fault of this BIOS. Nothing anyone can do about it. You can always move around in this BIOS by pressing left or right. It's simple, right? And go to frequency. All the same options are here. And they're going to get rid of this old BIOS. And then just go to dashboard mode. Dashboard mode is also known as Windows mode. The code name for this BIOS is actually a name of a mythical beast. It's not the Griffin. It's something even more badass. they decide not to use it in any marketing, and I don't think I'm supposed to say it publicly. So, anyways, I don't work for them, but I have some respect for people that work there. So, anyways, boot number state enabled. This will keep a number lock enabled so that you can basically type in the values, and you can basically figure out all these other stuff, right? So if you need a password to log in, system or setup. Anyways, going down, all the Windows 8 modes are there, secure boot, fast boot, so that's cute, right? Peripherals, okay, device config. Initial display output, yeah, you can do that. PCIe LAN control, this is the built-in, and then this board has 2 Intel NICs. The second one is onboard LAN controller, that'll disable that, okay? HCI mode. So if you're installing Windows XP, you should set this to disabled. Setting this option to disabled sets USB 2.0 mode for all the USB 3.0 ports. Since all the USB ports on this board come from Intel's native PCH, and most of them are USB 3.0 on the back panel, you should definitely set this to disabled if you're installing an OS. But otherwise, set to auto or smart auto is pretty smart. Yeah, okay. I don't even know it was default anymore. Anyways, audio controller, internal graphics, you want to disable it, disable it. If you want to enable it, enable it. For LN2 overclocking, disabling this won't help. Enable it, it'll help your cold bug a little bit because it warms up the F5VR, okay? Gigabit Ethernet. So these are the 2 things, I think there are actually 3 things that need to be moved over to Windows mode before they can totally get rid of classic mode and speed up everything in the BIOS. So you enter here, it'll take you into the old mode because all this NIC configuration stuff is all here and cannot be changed through Windows mode yet. Same thing with the SATA controller, right? This extra SATA controller, you have to go to the old BIOS. And you can see a difference in the mouse speed too. It's very bad. In Windows mode, it's good enough that I can go around and actually use the mouse and use it fine. It's not that bad. And I can click, I can scroll. Everything works well with it. But in the classic mode, it's pretty crappy. Like if I click it, it takes time. I gotta double click sometimes. It's annoying. Over here, 1 click, done. Load profiles. This is the last page. Oh, we have a calendar here. It's also on the home page, I think, on some of these. Or maybe system info. Yeah, system info. Okay. Now the calendar here, you can set the date and time, and the time is in military time. You can click this and use a scroll wheel, and then click outside and it'll set it, or you can just use the keyboard, right? Just like before. You can keyboard, page up, page down, whatever. Same thing on the menu here, and then the date. So save and exit. Boot override, you can pick the device you want to boot with. Load profiles. Load your profiles. Save profiles. And it's important. On the OC boards, you have a tag profile. On the OC and the OC4s. This tag profile is very important. The tag profile is useful for the tag button. So you hit the tag button and it'll load the tag profile. So you can save your own profile to load at this hit of a button, which is pretty cool. And that's profile number 8, also known as tag. Load defaults. Optimized defaults are always excellent to load. QFlash. We've got to cover this. Now you can update the BIOS from a drive. It shows all the files that would be a BIOS file. Like right here I have my Sniper OC boards. I have a Maximus 6 Extreme, a Hazard Reviewer Kit from CPU-Z. It's a secondary folder I think you can go into. And then here I have my OC Force BIOSes. I can select them and then hit OK. It'll read it and let you do it, but I'm not going to flash the BIOS right now. You can also update from the internet, but I'm not going to hit this because I don't have an internet cable installed. Shows you that we have a BIOS version. You can also press F8 to get the QFlash. You don't have to click that. Now load custom settings. You can load saved settings. So you can save a settings, take it on a USB drive, and load them. You save them this way, save, right? And then load. So I can save a setting, email it to you, you can put it on a USB drive, and then load it. Cool, huh? Now, I can also load defaults, right? Load optimized defaults. Okay, so this shortcut works while the other one didn't. The background wallpaper didn't. It only works on system info. Performance voltage works fine. Now I can go to save and exit. Save and exit? Yeah, sure. Let's save and exit. Thank you for watching, guys, and if you have any more questions, please let me know.